In 2025, the town of Curtis, Nebraska, lost its hospital. The Curtis Medical Center is closed down. It's gone. And it's because of a bill that was described as big and beautiful. The congressman who represents Curtis, a Republican named Adrien Smith, didn't just vote for that bill. No, he bragged that he helped write the thing. Now, look, the people who wrote this knew exactly what it would do. People like Smith. And so, in order to do a little cover their ass, they built in a little something. They cut $137 billion out of rural health, but don't worry, they set up a $50 billion fund and then called it a rescue. So now hold on here, let's do the math. That fund actually only covers about 37 cents of every dollar they cut from Medicaid. So you take $1 from these communities, rip a third of it off, hand it back, and then go on TV and call yourself a champion of rural America. Ask the town of Curtis if they think that Smith is a champion. Let's get into it. Look, we know why this hospital closed down. And the people who ran it told us. The CEO, Troy Bruntz, said the closure came down to anticipated federal budget cuts to Medicaid. The bill, of course, that he's talking about is the One Big Beautiful Bill, which pulled $911 billion out of Medicaid over 10 years, which works out to about $91 billion a year every year. That $50 billion rural health fund, that's nowhere near enough to cover the shortfall. Now, you'd think that the congressman whose own district lost their hospital to that bill might, keep their head down about it, do a little down low. Well, you'd be wrong. Adrien Smith went on the record and said that he supported and helped draft that bill. Yeah, that's right. He drafted it. This isn't the man who got caught in the crossfire of somebody else's policy. No. This was his. And look, the entire Republican Party, of course, owns this bill. That said, some of them have used the defense of, well, I had no idea this was going to happen. Oh, completely unexpected. But that doesn't apply here because he, again, literally bragged about helping write it. Now, it's important to note that Curtis didn't close after the cuts hit. It actually closed before. The CEO statement talked about the anticipated cuts. So the bill was so obviously going to gut rural health care that the hospital read the writing on the wall and shut their doors preemptively. They didn't wait to bleed out, unlike some of their, some of the patients now. No, they saw the hatchet coming for them and decided they're going to get out early. And that's how confident these communities are that this bill is going to absolutely destroy them. And you know that Curtis isn't exactly a one-up. I've talked about a lot of different rural hospitals across the country that have either closed or they're teetering on the edge of insolvency as a result of these cuts. And the latest analysis from KFF flags more than 400 rural facilities that are currently at risk of closing, scaling back, or dropping services entirely. That 400 actually might be a conservative estimate. According to the Center for Healthcare Quality and Payment Reform, 720 rural hospitals, about a third of all rural facilities nationwide, are at risk, with 294 at immediate risk of closure. And that's what makes the math on that rescue fund get even worse the longer that you look at it. Because that $50 billion, that's temporary. It is spread out over a period of 5 years, and then it's gone. The Medicaid cuts, those are permanent. So that 37 cents on the dollar I gave you earlier, that is the generous version. Run it over the full window, and rural America is staring at a net loss in the neighborhood of about $87 billion, roughly. It's like they cut off your arm and then handed you a Band-Aid. And that Band-Aid is on a timer. After 5 years, you don't get any more. You're out of luck. All while the people who did this scheduled a press conference in order to take a victory lap. Now, look, I want to be fair to the fund for just a second here. $50 billion, it's real money. And in isolation, it does sound like it will help. But it's not isolated. It's attached to a cut almost 3 times its size. And that's not a rescue. That's a robbery. A robbery where they end up leaving a dinner coupon on your counter. Sure, I took your TV, but here's coupon from McDonald's. Now, here's where this comes home. When the only hospital in a rural county closes, you lose the emergency room, the labor and delivery ward, at a time when the government ironically wants women to have more babies. And yet, they're making pregnant women in these rural areas have to drive an extra hour or so to give birth. But it's not just that. The lab goes, the nurses, the techs, the front desk, all of them, by the way, good paying jobs that are gone. They're just gone. And the next nearest ER becomes a problem that you solve at 70 miles an hour in the dark. That's not just reduced access to healthcare. That's a heart attack at 2 a.m. with the clock running and the nearest help a county away. These are people's lives on the line. And yet, Republicans, they talk about Medicaid like it's a simple budget item, not a lifeline for humans. And then they sit there and claim waste, fraud, and abuse, and in order to justify their cuts. When in reality, these programs actually have numerous safeties built into them to prevent that kind of fraud. Look, at the end of the day, Medicaid is the thing that keeps the lights on at the one building where you go when you have a medical emergency. And when that building closes, it's the people of the county that are more likely to die of something that could have been taken care of, could have been fixed, had they been able to receive help in time. And that's what Adrien Smith and all these rural Republicans ended up doing to their own districts. Also, they could give more tax breaks to the wealthy? This is what they called beautiful? Now, that said, I do want to be clear about one thing. A lot of rural hospitals were absolutely struggling before this bill. Curtis Medical Center was running at a loss. And Medicaid was a small slice of its revenue, smaller than you'd think. So I'm not saying this bill invented the problem, but I am saying it definitely made it worse. It was the final shove that pushed an already wobbling hospital system right off the ledge. Now, here's where we could see a FAFO. Adrien Smith happens to be up for re-election in 2026. And he's got a challenger named Becky Stille, who is running at him on this issue. She points out that he supported the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the people staring down the consequences are elderly farmers, working families, basically everybody in the district. So a year after his district lost its hospital to a bill that he helped draft, the people of Nebraska's 3rd are going to get to decide whether bragging about it was actually a good idea or not. Now, if you appreciated this breakdown, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and consider supporting us on Patreon or through our channel's membership program. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you here for another one.